Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right in. Today, we're completely demystifying the Windows 11 clean installation process. Specifically, we're going to be looking at doing this on a Dell Latitude 7440. But honestly, these principles apply super widely. We're going to cover the whole shebang, entirely from scratch, from downloading that official ISO file all the way to landing on your shiny, fully functional desktop.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Preparation and USB creation. 2. Boot menu and Dell BIOS. 3. The driver fix. 4. Partitioning and installation. And 5. First-time setup and updates. All right, let's get to it.
Section 1. Preparation and USB creation.
Okay, so we're starting all our foundation work on a working computer before we even think about touching the internal settings on our target Dell laptop. But before we do literally anything else, please heed this warning. A clean install is entirely destructive. Deleting partitions permanently removes your data, so you absolutely must back up your documents, your photos, your browser data, your software licenses. Do it right now, because once we actually start the installation phase, there's absolutely no going back.
All right, with your data safely backed up, here are your first 3 steps. Step 1. Head over to Microsoft's official download page and grab the Windows 11 ISO file. You can kind of think of this ISO as the master blueprint for Windows. Step 2. Connect a temporary USB drive to your computer. And Step 3. We're going to create the bootable installation media. Now remember, this process will completely erase the USB drive itself, so make absolutely sure there's nothing important left on it.
Now, what's really cool here is that you only need one of these alternative methods to create that bootable USB. If you're prepping this on a Windows PC, you can just use a dedicated, well-known tool like Rufus. But if you're stuck prepping this on a Mac, you'll want to use the supplied Mac WinDiskWriter method. Just pick whichever one matches the computer you're currently using to build the drive. Simple as that.
For all you Mac users out there, this is what that WinDiskWriter interface actually looks like. You just select the Windows ISO image you just downloaded, and then select your target device. And, this perfectly illustrates a really crucial safety check. Look really closely at that target dropdown. Double, triple check that target device before hitting the Start button. As the log at the bottom indicates, this tool is getting ready for action, and it is going to overwrite and erase that USB drive entirely to build your Windows installer.
Moving right along to Section 2, Boot Menu and Dell BIOS.
So we've got our bootable Windows 11 USB ready to go. Now, let's actually configure the hardware on the Dell laptop itself. Go ahead and connect that brand new USB drive to your Dell. Turn the laptop on, or restart it, and immediately start tapping the key to open your one-time boot menu. On Dells, this is almost always F12. You'll see the Dell Secured with Safe BIOS screen pop up. From that boot menu, you want to select your UEFI USB device. This tells the laptop, hey, boot from the flash drive instead of the internal drive.
But hold on, before we rush into the installation, we need to poke our heads into the BIOS. Enter the BIOS setup and navigate over to the storage menu. Notice how the SATA/NVMe operation is initially set to RAID on by default? Well, as the description explains, this setting means Windows would need a specific Intel Rapid Storage Technology, or VMD driver, just to even see your hard drive. This default setting right here, this is going to cause our biggest headache.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the driver fix.
This is the core conflict of our whole explainer today. It's that infamous missing storage driver issue that trips up so many beginners. If you were to just ignore the BIOS and blindly proceed with the Windows setup while RAID on is still active, setup simply cannot find your internal SSD. You'll hit a massive brick wall and get this super daunting error scanning for drivers screen asking you to install a driver to show hardware. Now, I want to stress this. Do not panic. You might think, actually, a lot of people think their brand new SSD is completely broken. It's not. It's literally just hiding behind that RAID controller.
Now, you could try to fix this the hard way. You could go over to Dell's website on another computer, download the specific Intel RST or VMD drivers, put them on your USB, and manually browse for them during setup just to make the drive discoverable. But honestly, unless you have a highly specific enterprise RAID setup going on, there is a much simpler route for a standard clean install.
So the real pro move here is just heading back into the BIOS and changing that storage mode. We want to switch it from RAID on over to AHCI/NVMe. As you can see by this definition, AHCI/NVMe is just a simpler storage mode. It allows the Windows setup to natively detect your internal SSD without requiring you to hunt down and inject any extra manual drivers. It completely bypasses the whole headache.
Let's actually look at how to do that. In your Dell BIOS, under the storage settings, simply select the radio button for AHCI/NVMe. When you do, you're going to get a warning pop-up. It's basically saying that changing this might prevent an existing operating system from booting. But hey, since we are doing a completely clean, fresh install, that doesn't matter to us at all. Just click Yes to that warning. Then click Apply Changes, confirm with OK, and let the laptop restart.
All right, Section 4, Partitioning and Installation.
With the laptop restarted, go ahead and boot from that USB one more time. You'll click through the initial Windows setup screens until you reach the disk partition screen. At this stage, it is absolutely critical. I mean it, critical to understand the difference between your disks. Disk 0 is the Dell's internal SSD. That is your target. Disk 1 is your connected installation USB or maybe another external drive. Do not touch Disk 1. You're about to permanently delete partitions, so you have to ensure you're only targeting Disk 0.
Here is the exact workflow you want to follow. Step 1. Click to select the existing partitions, but only the ones labeled Disk 0. Step 2. Deliberately click the Delete button for each old Disk 0 partition. Keep deleting them one by one until Disk 0 consolidates into a single clean block titled Unallocated Space. Step 3. Select that single unallocated space block on Disk 0 and click Next to kick off the Windows installation.
And that takes us to our final leg, Section 5, First-Time Setup and Updates.
So Windows is going to start installing its files now, and hey, the laptop is going to restart several times entirely on its own. Totally normal, just let it do its thing. You'll eventually be greeted by those nice modern Windows 11 setup screens asking for your region and keyboard layout, but then you might hit a pretty common wall. What happens if you get to the Let's Connect You to a Network screen and crickets? There are absolutely no Wi-Fi networks available to select. This actually happens a lot when Windows 11 doesn't happen to have the specific Dell Wi-Fi drivers natively included in its base installer.
Since you kind of need the internet to finish setting up a Windows 11 account, the easiest, most practical workaround is right here, the Ethernet workaround. Simply plug a physical Ethernet cable that's connected to your router directly into the laptop. Or, use a USB to Ethernet dongle if your model doesn't have the built-in port. Wait just a few seconds for Windows to detect the hardwired connection. That next button will light right up, and you can finish the user setup effortlessly.
Boom. You've finally reached that beautiful Windows 11 desktop. But we aren't quite done yet. Here is your quick post-install wrap-up checklist. First, run Windows Update immediately to pull down all the latest security patches and basic drivers. By the way, this will usually fix your missing Wi-Fi driver right off the bat. Next, head over to Dell's official support site to install any specific hardware drivers. Then pop open Device Manager and verify there are no little yellow warning triangles. Those mean you're missing devices. Finally, perform one last system restart to lock it all in.
And there you go, the whole shebang. Your system is completely refreshed. By demystifying those BIOS settings and safely navigating the driver and partitioning hurdles, you have taken full, confident control of your hardware. It's a seriously great feeling to build an operating system from the ground up like that. So, with this major success under your belt, what complex tech topic are you going to tackle next? Thanks so much for learning with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.